Austin, Texas has been a real interesting hotbed of homeless activity. Last year, the mayor of Austin made it so you could camp pretty much everywhere in Austin, pretty much everywhere. But then the governor of Texas flipped out and said that wasn't going to work. And so he created a sanctioned camp. And quite honestly, that is the right move. And there's been some news on that, and I wanted to show you a video of what's going on.
A state homeless camp in Austin is getting more help from a local nonprofit. KVU's Tori Larned tells us leaders there want to be at the heart of the solution.
This state-sanctioned camp off Highway 183 was funded by Governor Greg Abbott last year, so it had that funding, but not necessarily a lot of resources until the Other One Foundation came in back in August. Here's a look at what the inside of that camp looks like off Highway 183. Before they moved in, about 120 people lived here with little water and few resources. Now, in the 2 months that the Other Ones Foundation has been here, 150 people who now live here have access to not only showers and a cafeteria, but case management, community building, and job opportunities to get them on.
All right, so that is very important. So the importance of a sanctioned camp is that it centralizes people so that all of the support services know where to get them. So a lot of times ignorant politicians will say things like, well, this is beneath human dignity to have people in tents, but then they let them rot in the woods and under bridges with no problem. Apparently that's fine as far as dignity is concerned. But this is real world. This is what really needs to happen, because affordable housing is not available anywhere. And if you keep people isolated alone in the woods with no resources, you just simply cannot move
on their
forward.
feet. The nonprofit even created a leadership team made up of the people living in the camp.
That's incredibly important. I see that time and time again, where leadership is the people in a sanctioned camp. More so than I've seen in tiny house villages, and certainly not in homeless shelters or transitional housing. It is very natural and very common for the people living in the camp to become the leaders.
One of those members says she's had more opportunity than ever.
They're helping me right now with a driver's license so I can cash my stimulus check.
Okay, so there you go. More help than ever, she says. She's one of the leaders, right? And it's something as basic as getting a driver's license or an ID, a state ID, so she can do things like cash her stimulus check or get food stamps or get medical coverage. You are completely excommunicated from American society without an identification, and it's almost impossible to get one when you're living alone in the woods.
And they're going to put me back in school, and I'm working for them.
There's a huge...
So she's got an avenue to school, and they're paying her to work at this camp, no doubt. I mean, there's always jobs at camps, and I don't know for sure, but it sounds like maybe they're paying people to clean and probably cook and, offer support services and that sort of thing.
Huge journey between living on the streets and finding your stable home that you...
Okay, I don't know who this guy is, but I wish everybody could hear that. There is a huge journey between living on the streets and finding stable home. It is, when you hear a regular homeless service provider talk about it, they make it seem like so easy. They're like, well, if you don't, if you're getting tired of living on the streets, you should come and get a house. Like literally, they make it sound like that, and then politicians believe it because that's what they want to believe, and then constituents and other non-homeless people believe that. But this guy is pointing out the absolute truth that it is you living on the street is here, okay, and getting a house is here, and they are you don't climb. Like it's a cliff. They make it into a cliff, and by having these sanctioned camps, you are gradiating the scale.
Exit homelessness into.
The Other Ones Foundation says all the services they provide is directly funded by their private donors.
So there you go. Again, private donors. The state gave them the land, which in my case wouldn't even be necessary, because I would still love to run a homeless camp. But then they run, they get all the money through a private donation. So it's not a government-run facility. And I'm really not. I don't believe homelessness should be fixed with the government.
The state helps fund maintaining the camp facilities. It also places emergency management crews.
Did you see that? That was a mobile shower unit. And look at this. This looks like, I don't even know where this is. Is this in
And
the
an
camp
officer
here?
there at all times. Now, one of the leaders with the Other Ones Foundation says right now was the most important time to set it up with the coronavirus, because this allows people to come to one spot to get those resources instead of jumping around from place to place.
One spot. That's it. You go to one spot to get the
It
resources.
also allows them to social distance in a large lot. Back to you.
And yeah, they can social distance. They're not inside a confined space.
And
so there you go.
All great garages start from the ground up, and that
I
begins
really
with a genuine race deck garage.
see that because I really, really respect what's going on in Austin. And honestly, Community First Village is just outside of, well, that's outside of, is that outside of Houston or Austin? I can't remember, but it's a Texas thing. And so this is really, really important. This is the future. I'm telling you, this is what America needs. If you really want people to stop being homeless, if you really care about people not being homeless, you need sanctioned tent villages to create the step-up program to get people into housing.